right, Adam. So this week we're going to start off with a little bit of Star Wars. I don't know if I'll call it news exactly, but it is some interesting Star Wars information. Um, and there was actually a resurfaced clip from an interview conducted by Jake's Takes in 2020, and Boyega, John Boyega, was quoted as saying it would be a no-brainer to do Star Wars again if president of Lucasfilm Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams and the rest of the old team were involved. He says, whichever way, I'm open to the conversation as long as it's Kathleen, J.J., and maybe someone else in the team. It's a no brainer. Um, and he said this time around he would be more adamant about story, um, things like that. I don't know. What are your thoughts about this, Adam?
When in 2020 was this clip taken?
It's probably a good question.
You know what I mean? I think he would come back. Like, I don't think that
Yeah.
his problems that he had with the franchise or with the people that were running stuff. I, all that aside, I think he would still come back, and
Hmm.
I him specifically singling out JJ is interesting. To me
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
anyway. And him saying that, and then also leaning on the story stuff is important, which kind of leads into the next news article. We'll take that
It
one step
will.
at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I think that says something right there.
I agree. I mean, first of all, let me say I would love to see an episode 10 and even 11 and 12 with these characters someday. And I've been saying that for a couple years now. Um, that I would love to see that. And I remember saying, never say never. It could happen. I'm sure Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford didn't think there was any way they were ever going to come back to Star Wars again, and they did. Um, I think it would have to be like John Boyega saying here, the right story, for the right reasons. I don't know if J.J. Abrams is going to come back to Star Wars. That
Yeah,
would be my.
yeah,
Um, I don't know if we're going to see that happen. So might be somebody else. I'm not sure.
I
Um,
would agree. I think JJ is kind of a long shot.
yeah. Um, I'd love to see it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I really do want to see Rey, especially training a new generation of Jedi. Finn being one of those
Hmm.
characters involved. So yeah, I mean, I like the idea of it. I'm very cautiously optimistic about that ever happening. Um, but it does kind of lead in, like you said, to the whole J.J. Abrams interview with Collider here, um, where they kind of asked him. The interviewer asked him, you know, how do you feel now about how the sequel trilogy kind of played out? Do you think there should have been a plan going into it and everything? And he's quoted as saying, I feel like what I've learned as a lesson a few times now, and something especially in this pandemic year. The lesson is you have to plan things as best you can, and you always need to be able to respond to the unexpected. He also went on to say, but having a plan, I have learned in some cases the hard way, is the most critical thing because otherwise you don't know what you're setting up. You don't know what to emphasize. Because if you don't know the inevitable of the story, you're just as good as your last sequence or effect or joke or whatever. But you want to be leading to something inevitable. So, I mean, this is something we've all been thinking the whole time,
Yeah.
but I think JJ is actually vocalizing and acknowledging at this point now that, yeah, we probably should have had a plan. So,
Reminds me of that line from Pirates of the Caribbean that everyone's thinking it. I'm just saying
yeah.
it. Yeah.
So, as much as I enjoyed the sequel trilogy, I think it really would have benefited from having a solid through line, a solid at least a general plan. Maybe not all the specifics and all the details. Because those
Yeah, no,
things
for sure. I mean, and
come depending on performances, depending on how things might change in a story. So.
for sure. And I think that, looking at just episode 9, I think JJ had an idea. And for whatever reason, it got off track, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Hmm.
But then JJ comes back and wants to finish that vision, and so I mean it does make for a disjointed trilogy,
Yeah.
and it would have been better to have that set in stone going into episodes 7, 8, and 9. This is what we want to see happen, and you three being JJ and Johnson and Trevorrow at the time. This is what you guys are going to do in each of these three movies. I think that would have made things smoother. You know,
Yeah, and it seems like JJ has learned this lesson, and I'm hoping that, if Kathleen Kennedy is going to continue leading Lucasfilm, that she has learned that as well, and that for future trilogies or future series of films, um, and I think there will be a plan, and I think we're seeing that even with the Disney Plus series, where they have this notion, this kind of thing plotted out, where they want these shows to be connected and culminate in some type of, yeah, that was not even a word, I don't think, that I just said. Um, but culminate in some type of, I don't want to compare it necessarily to Avengers, but maybe something like that.
yeah. I mean, and I've even heard tell of how Marvel seems like they've got it all together, but sometimes that stuff is winged a little bit more than it feels like.
Hmm.
Or maybe not winged, but maybe not as thought out like 5 years in advance as we think it is.
Not as well planned as it appears to be, maybe. Yeah.
But it all seems to mesh a little bit better. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah. So I thought it was interesting that we heard from both John Boyega and J.J. Abrams this week about the sequel trilogy. So I wanted to throw that into our show this week.
Yeah, indeed.
Um,
Yeah,
hmm
and it's something that I know JJ hasn't wanted to talk about, and Boyega, when he has talked about it, hasn't always been a good experience for him for good reasons. But
hmm
yeah, interesting stuff from both of them.
Yeah, I don't think either of them, and especially I think JJ didn't want to say anything disparaging about Ryan Johnson and his film and everything. And I think that's part of it too.
Right,
Um,
right,
and everybody knows that if you've listened, that I am a big Last Jedi fan. So I do love the film Ryan created, but overall as a trilogy, it's definitely disjointed, as you said earlier. But that is that. And moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about the Uncharted movie, that I think is still currently filming. I could be wrong about that.
I think it is.
Um,
Yeah, I think it is.
but I am a huge Uncharted fan. And Adam, I think you enjoy that series of games as well. Am
I've
I right?
only played the first, and I liked it.
Okay. Hmm.
Felt very
Um,
Indiana Jones until the zombies came out,
yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah.
I was like, "What the heck is happening right
Yeah.
now?"
Um, but Uncharted is probably one of my favorite video games, and so I was very excited to learn that they were making a film about it. However, when they said that Tom Holland is going to be Nathan Drake, I was not a fan of that choice. I'm not going to lie. I love Tom Holland. I think he's a fantastic Spider-Man, Peter Parker. But I wanted to see, I guess I wanted to see an older Nathan Drake, maybe not kind of like this younger. Maybe this is more of an origin
See,
story of the character.
it seems like a prequel, especially with
Yeah,
what we're going to talk about here with Sully. But
right. And I kind of wanted. I think his name's actually. I think it's Nathan Fillion,
Nathan
possibly
Fillion was always that fan
Fillion.
cast
Yeah,
guy because he does have that Nathan Drake look, and
I think he would have been
there was
perfect.
some sort of like I think it was like a fan made short film or something that
Yeah,
he was
it
in,
was
and
great.
yeah, yeah,
I loved it. I thought he was so true to the character. So I was a little bit disappointed with this, but again, they could surprise me. They could knock my socks off with it. I might love it. I don't know. But also seeing Mark Wahlberg as Sully doesn't sit right with me either. I
I
mean,
know,
because
yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
um,
This has to be a prequel.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, he doesn't even have a mustache. So there's that. And and he's nowhere near as, old as the Sully we know from the games. So
Right.
clearly they're going in a kind of maybe slightly different direction, at least with the timeline, obviously. Um, so I'm just gonna sit back and wait and see I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm not having high expectations because, the casting kind of put me off a little bit if I'm being perfectly honest. But
Yeah, no, I get you
um
for sure.
but I know there's a lot of Tom Holland fans out there, and rightfully so, and I'm sure he'll do a great job. It just wasn't exactly what I was
No, I
envisioning.
agree. I agree totally.
Yeah. Um but yeah, so, and I guess this film is set to release on February 18th, 2022. Either way, I'm excited to see it and excited to see what they do with this franchise. And moving on to another well-known franchise, with whether it's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka, whatever you want. There's been different iterations. We have a new Wonka film that's being worked
This
on
is
by Warner
bizarre.
Brothers.
Why?
And I guess I'm trying to. Hopefully, I don't butcher his name here. Timothy Chalamet. Um, Hopefully, I said that correctly. He was cast as Willy Wonka in this upcoming film, and it would be based on a young Willy Wonka and his adventures prior to opening the world's most famous chocolate factory.
I just can't. I don't know
Um,
why. It's such a weird idea.
Yeah, so I mean, I am a fan of Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. I'm a fan of those films, especially the original. Um, so I don't know. I don't know what to make of this.
I don't. This is so weird.
Yeah, but
It seems
I
like
don't know.
we've gone out of the reboot phase and we're into like a prequel phase. you know,
Yeah,
you
we
gotta
are
do
very much
origin
in the
stories for
we're
everything.
very much in origin stories and prequels at this point. But um, I
I
think
mean, where
Tom
do we go
Holland actually
from
was
here?
up for
Like,
this role too.
I mean, like, who says we need a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory prequel?
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't get that.
I don't know, but they're making it.
I
So,
can't wait for the Babe
yeah.
prequel. The one about the pig, not the baseball guy.
The pig. Okay, I
yeah,
was like, wait,
yeah.
is he talking about Babe
No,
Ruth or?
no, the one about the pig.
So, moving on from Willy Wonka, we're also talking about the Eternals, which this week got its first teaser trailer and got an official poster. Um, what did you think of this teaser trailer, Adam?
I didn't get a chance to watch the trailer. I saw the poster.
Mm-hmm.
It looks interesting. I don't know much about the Eternals. From what I understand, they're supposed to be like it almost I almost want to say like mutants that have been around for a long, long time.
I'm guessing they've been around like almost eternally.
Eternally, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
But
uh,
yeah, just go.
it looks almost like ancient alien stuff on the poster,
Sort of. I
right?
mean, it's some of the information they have in this article is, they'd helped develop human civilization throughout the years. It is an exciting new team of superheroes spanning thousands of years. Features a group of immortal heroes forced out of the shadows to reunite against mankind's oldest enemy, the Deviants. Um, and it features
Right.
some Game of Thrones actors, which I'm excited about. Richard Madden and Kit Harington,
Yeah.
who were both part of the Stark family in Game of Thrones, and Angelina Jolie is in this as well, and Salma Hayek.
Stark
Just
family, you say?
yeah, the Stark family. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, I
Is
guess.
this going to be a larger universe with Game of Thrones?
Yeah, technically, I guess Jon Snow wasn't really a Stark, but kind of.
Oh,
Anyway,
okay.
I digress. But I thought the trailer looked pretty
Was he
cool.
was, was he a frost giant?
He has kind of a secret identity throughout the show, but I don't want to reveal that and
That's
spoil it for you if you ever decide to watch it.
oh, making Loki jokes.
But anyhow, I thought the trailer looked really cool, and it had almost this. I don't know what to say about it. The feel that it had, it was different for a Marvel film, I think, and it felt almost elegant in a
Okay.
way, and um, very different, but I liked it,
I'll
so
give
I'm
you
excited.
a little bit a paragraph I found here real quick. I had a little bit of a little bit of it right with mutants, but when the Celestials visited Earth 1 million years ago and performed genetic experiments on early proto-humanity, which actually sounds like ancient alien stuff,
Yeah.
they created two divergent races: the long-lived Eternals and the genetically unstable and monstrously grotesque Deviants. These experiments also led to the capacity for superpowered mutations in humans. They also performed this experiment on other planets, such as the Kree and Skrull homeworlds, with similar results.
Hmm.
Despite looking human, Eternals are much longer lived, but were not fully immortal, and they kept them from having contact with their human cousins.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, sounds interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I honestly didn't think this thing would still get a release
this
this year,
I'm wondering if
and
this
it
is
did.
how they
It
introduce mutants
could be.
into the universe.
Yeah, perhaps. We also have some news when it comes to some major studios, as I mentioned earlier. So
This is
we learned,
interesting.
yeah, we learned that Amazon is actually going to acquire MGM,
Yeah,
including James Bond and Rocky franchises. So, I know you're a big James Bond fan, so I didn't know, I don't know what this means exactly for Bond or anything
I,
else really, but
I don't.
um,
Maybe Bond will finally have a streaming home. I don't know. I mean, it kind
yeah,
of bounces around between streaming services. So I mean, it seems like every purchase nowadays is about streaming.
oh yeah,
It's for
yeah,
streaming rights. It's for content creation for streaming channels. It's that type of stuff. So you know
yeah.
that they have to
So
be looking at things like Bond and Rocky and different MGM properties to kind of for Amazon to kind of lean on for subscriptions and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, we know Amazon already has a streaming service with, Amazon Prime Video and everything. So, um,
also includes The Hobbit, by the way.
yeah, it does, which is interesting. And the purchase price um, was 8.45 billion. So
Yeah,
there's that.
that's intense.
Yeah. So
I
that
thought
was
Star Wars was expensive.
right, right. Just double Star Wars, I'm pretty sure, double the
Yeah,
cost of
the
Lucasfilm.
math checks out there.
Yeah. Um, and there was another big announcement
Yeah.
too. This time with AT&T announced Monday a deal to combine its content, WarnerMedia with Discovery, um, to compare with media giants like Netflix and Disney Plus. Or Netflix and Disney rather.
Mm-hmm.
So the deal would create a new business separate from AT&T that could be valued at as much as 150 billion, including debt, according to the Financial Times. And there were some other things I wanted to read about this here in this article from this one's from CNBC actually. Um,
One of the interesting things I read in that was the amount that they would be spending on content,
yeah,
which put Disney actually in the third place, which I was surprised by. Like 14 to 16 billion, they said. Netflix was, I guess, on average second with like 15 billion, and then this new monster would be actually the biggest with 20 billion
hmm,
that they would
interesting.
spend on new content.
So AT&T owns CNN, HBO, and Warner Brothers. After it acquired Time Warner, since renamed to WarnerMedia, Discovery's channels include Animal Planet, TLC, and the Discovery Channel. And I'm trying to see here. This guy's name is Zaslav or something like that. Said
David,
on the press
yeah,
call
yep.
Monday, he believes the combined company will be able to differentiate itself from top streaming services like Disney Plus and Netflix by offering a combination of news and sports on top of its properties like Game of Thrones and Harry Potter.
Which to
Um,
me means that HBO Max and Discovery Plus are going to be one thing going forward at some point in the future,
it could be, yeah. Um,
or
s-
possibly like a package deal like Disney does with Hulu.
right, or it's something either that or like if I don't know if it would look like Disney Plus, what it looks like, where it has like Star Wars and then it has Marvel and then it has
But yeah,
National Geographic.
if they go to one service.
Right, maybe this would have like, okay, you have your
Sure,
CNN thing,
right.
you have your sports thing, you
That's kind
have
of
your
what Peacock does too. With they have like the sports
HBO Max. Yeah,
stuff at the top, and then they have WWE all the way over to the right and stuff like that. So,
right. So I don't
but
know exactly what
it's just interesting
it's going
because
to look
both of
like,
these
but
have their own streaming service. Just the Discovery side of this
mhm,
deal has their own streaming service. The Warner
right.
side has their own streaming service.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm a huge fan of HBO content. I'm a huge fan of Warner
And I'm
Brothers.
actually kind of
Um,
digging Discovery Plus too.
yeah, and I haven't really checked out much of that, but um, I'm interested to see what this will mean and if it has any at all impact on DC, or
Now,
what they might do.
remember what I was saying
So,
a few weeks ago about HBO Max? Like, once we go back to theaters and it's, HBO Max is still $15 a month. This was something where, I could still get Discovery Plus and HBO Max, for the same price.
mhm,
Then I feel a little bit better about a
yeah,
$15 subscription fee, because
sure.
I'm currently paying 15 plus 5 or 7 or something like that for Discovery Plus. So then I'd feel
Yeah,
a little
that's a
bit
good
better about
point.
that price.
Mhm. Yeah, so we'll see what it's going to look like. I'm not sure, and what the price will be. If it's going to be separate, if it's all going to be together, time will
Yeah.
tell. Um, but yeah, that wraps it up for the news segment this week, and we are going to continue our What to Watch series this time with Disney Plus.